You need one? Rabbi, you need one?
Yeah, okay, so we might need it. Anybody? I'm saying, okay, maybe somebody should post it. Should I post it? I took a picture from the Masifta Gemara. All right, let's go. Ready to roll? Okay, so what are we up to? We stopped right in the middle of machlokes, so we have to backtrack a little bit. All right. So basically, yeah, we ready? Yeah. Hello, could you hear me?
Where are we starting, Svianka?
Yes.
Yep.
We're starting Yud Dalet Amud Beis. We'll start it. Yeah, it's a good question where we should start it. We'll start 6 lines up from the bottom. All right, so basically what we have here is we have a stira in mishnayos. If there's 3 mishnayos that are involved here, there's one in Yoma, 2 in Yoma, and 1 in Tamid. Right, so the question is what was the order of how they did things in the Beis Hamikdash? We go into a little bit kachim for the next 2-3 nights. It's kachim gemaras essentially, which is why having the chart of the Beis Hamikdash would be helpful, the picture of the Beis Hamikdash. So the bottom line is we have a stira in mishnayos. What came first, the ketores or the neiros? So we're trying to look for different ways of being mataratz. So the Gemara is saying here that, and then as a sub machlokes of what we were saying is that the menora, the way it worked with the menora was first they cleaned out 5 of the lamps, candles, lights, whichever way you want to call it. Then after they did the 5, then they either did the ketores or they sprinkled the blood onto the Mizbeach. And then they went back and finished the other 2 lights they finished cleaning the other 2 lights in the menorah. Right? So that was the machlokes. That's a machlokes between Abba Shaul and the Rabanan. So that's what we're holding here. So, right, Abaya had said that they used to sprinkle the blood on in between the menorah. They used to sprinkle the blood on, and Abba Shaul said no. They did the ketores in between what they did in the menorah, right? Okay, so now as I was saying, so we say Ahila Abba Shaul Hol Rabbanan. One is Abba Shaul and one is the Rabbanan. What does this mean? The Tanya, right? 6 lines up from the bottom. You should not do the neiros and afterwards do the ketores. First bring the ketores and then do the menorah. Right, now it doesn't mean do the ketores totally before the menorah. No. According to all opinions, this is going to come up a few times. According to all opinions, they first cleaned out the five lights of the menorah. Then they went and did something, and then they went back and did 2. So it's a machlokes between Abba Shaul and the Rabbanon is what did they do? So that's the Rabbanon say that they did the ketores and then they went and finished the other 2 candles. Abba Shaul, no, meitiv achakach maktir. They did all the menorahs and then they did all 7 and then they went and did the ketores. So what did they do after 5? So basically, the order according to Abba Shaul is they did 5. They cleaned 5 of the candles from the menora. They went and sprinkled the blood on the Mizbeach. Then they went and did 2 more candles. Then they brought the Ketairos. Right? That's the order according to Abba Shaul, I'm sorry. So my time with Abba Shaul, why does Abba Shaul say that the Ketairos was supposed to be done totally after the menorahs? Right? In the morning when they did the neros. And then afterwards, they did the Ketairos. So you see very clear that first the menorah was done, then they did the Ketairos for Rabanan. And what is Rabanan going to do with this pasuk? Rabanan my Kamar Rachmana. What's the Torah saying? So Peidon hatava te makdir Ketairos. An interesting thing. They say when you're doing the hatava, the Ketairos should already be burning. Meaning Abba Shaul said that the pshat is that the Ketairos has to be done after the menorah, because it says Babayka and then Aktara. And the Rabbanah is saying no. What it means is that when you're setting up the menorah, the Ketairos should be burning. Not that the Ketairos comes afterwards. It should be burning before you set up the menorah. Because if you don't say this, when it says Bein Harbayim, right? When it says between the evenings, literally, right? That when Aaron HaKohen sets up the candles, right? Then he brings up the Ketairos. Doesn't mean that first you light the menorah, and then you go do the Ketairos. That can't be, right? Because the last thing done in the Beis HaMikdash before they shut everything down is the menorah. So if you say so maybe they do the Ketairos afterwards. But Tanya me'erev biker, it says the menorah is supposed to be lit from the evening, from the night until the morning. 10 lamidasa, give enough measurement, meaning put in enough oil. That the menorah should light the whole night from the evening until the morning. Davar acher, or another pshat is me'erev ad biker, from the evening to the morning. There's no avoda that's kosher to do in the Beis HaMikdash other than the menorah. Right, so don't ask, what about the emurin is burning a whole night? Because they just happen to be burning a whole night. That's not considered an avoda. So the bottom line is the last avoda has to be the menorah. So how can you say from the pasuk that when Bahalos Aaron is aneros bein harbayim yaktirena, right? So Ela Maika Amar Rachmana, what does the Torah mean? Beidon hadlaka te maktir Ketairos. When you're lighting the menorah, the Ketairos should already be burning. So Achanami Beidon hatava, here so too in the morning, when you're setting up the last 2 glasses of the menorah. I was saying glasses, there was no glasses. Right, the last 2 candles or lights of the menorah, then the Ketairos should be brought. Right, so that's the way the Rabbanan is saying it. Baba Shaul, what's he going to say to this? No, you're right. By the evening, when the Kohen lights the menorah, the Ketairos has to be burning before that. That's because there it says the word oisai. So it says oisai, you have to do it specifically like that. But in the morning, it doesn't say oisai. Fine. Okay, so that's the end of the first teretz in the Gemara. That one Mishnah, when it says that the menorah was done before the Ketairos, is referring to the 5 candles that was done before the Ketairos. And the Mishnah that says that the candles were done, set up after the Ketairos, is talking about the last 2, right, that were done afterwards. And this is going according to the Rabbanan and not Abba Shaul. Rav Papa has a different teretz to answer up the stira in the 2 brises, in the 2 Mishnahs. Rav Papa Amar Loikasha HaRabbanan Abba Shaul. No, he says no. One Mishnah is the Rabbanan and one is Abba Shaul. Right? The Mishnah that says that the Ketairos comes first is referring to the Rabbanan. And the one that says that the Ketairos comes afterwards is talking about Abba Shaul. Meaning, and it has nothing to do with the 5 and the 2. Nothing to do with the 5 and the 2. It's just one Mishnah is talking about Lefi the Rabbanan, who hold that you do the menorah before the Ketairos, and the second Mishnah is saying that it's Abba Shaul. It's just the machlokes tanaim. So then Gemara asks, so what are we going to say our Mishnah? what are we going to say our Mishnah is referring to? Karabanan, right? Our Mishnah holds it like the Rabbanan, because our Mishnah says that you first do the Ketairis, and then you do the menora. Pious, the Mishnah of Pious, that was the other Mishnah, which is the Mishnah of going through the order of the lottery for which kind gets to do what. So there, the order was the Ketairis. The Ketairis came after the menora. Pious Abba Shaul, that's going according to Abba Shaul. So Ema Seifa, but let's say the Seifa of that Mishnah, right? But it's not really that Mishnah, but it's later on. If they brought the Tamid to the Kohen Gadol, Kartzu, so what does he do? He shechts it. Kartzu means he shechts it. Umarak is a shchita al yodoi, and somebody else comes and finishes it off. Meaning he cuts the two simonim.
The partial, yeah.
Yeah, and then somebody else takes him over. Nichnas lahaktir as a ketairis. Then he goes to bring in the ketairis, or lahativ as an eris, and then to do the neris. So who's that going like? Clearly, that one is doing the ketairis before the menora. So what do you have to say? That the next Mishnah after that is Sal Rabbanan. That's going to Rabbanan. It's a Reisha v'Sefer Rabbanan. It's Yasa Abba Shaul. So it comes out that the Reisha and the Sefer are the Rabbanan. Meaning the first Mishnah in Yoma is the Rabbanan. That says the menora goes first before the ketairis. Right? The third Mishnah is that the menora goes. The menora goes. Did I mix up the order? I'm sorry. Yeah, I mixed up the order. The first Mishnah says ketairis first, then menora. Second Mishnah says menora, then ketairis. Third Mishnah says ketairis and then menora. So it comes out that the first Mishnah is the Rabbanan, second Mishnah is Abba Shaul, third Mishnah is the Rabbanan. Does it make sense to say that? So Reisha v'Sefer Rabbanan,
Yeah.
Abba Shaul.
Yaakov, why are we allowed to jump around like that, like Rabbi Hop in this case?
Enochanami. So we're not
So
really
Yaakov-
rabbi hopping, just saying they're different Mishnahs going according to different.
Yeah, but if we're trying to pull out the halacha from it, right? And it's all within some type of seder of how we understand the grander concept. Why are we first going the Chachamim, Abba Shaul? Why are we not being consistent with our?
Because it seems like otherwise they're not really finding a teretz. Otherwise they're not finding a teretz. That's what it seems. That's what I would think.
See, I wanted to say the three mishnayos are like that because that's what the three avodas we're talking about. The avodas are chopped up, so the mishnayos are chopped up that are talking about them.
Oh, you want to say it's the avodas is okay. I hear.
Why is the Gemara asking this under Rav Papa? Stamazai to steer in the brisa.
Well, Rav Papa is the one that tries to include everyone in every day and everything. We learned that in Shabbos.
It doesn't matter. It's the same brisa. The first part of the brisa, the Reisha says that the menora is first and then the ketairis. The Sefer says the ketairis first and then the menora.
But again, maybe that's the answer to what I was asking, because in the English, at least, the Art Scroll says Rav Papa would simply say to you, yes, it is indeed so. The beginning and later sections reflect the sages, yet the middle section reflects Abba Shaul. Rav Papa is the one who I don't want to say muddies up, but I don't mean it like that, but who's pulling from all over the place. But that's what he does.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't know. It seems like that's where I don't know. I don't know if there's any other way to be mitaretz, because even the first teretz is saying one is Abba Shaul, one is the Rabbanan. I'm saying, right? It's even within the first teretz. Okay, I don't know. So anyway, so he says back. So Amalach Rav Papa in Reisha v'Sefer Rabbanan Mitzias Abba Shaul. Yeah. That's exactly the way it's going to go, Simon. That clearly that's not going according to your. That's the way you have to say it. That's what Papa's saying. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. So now the Gemara says, "Bishlam Abaya le'yamaka Rav Papa." It's good according Abaya. Not doesn't say like Rav Papa. Reisha v'Sefer Rabbanan Mitzias Abba Shaul. He says, I don't go with that. I go with Simon's way of thinking. It's not. Doesn't make sense to say the Reisha and the Sefer the Rabbanan and the middle opinion is Abba Shaul. right? Ella, Rav Papa, my time Abaya. How come Rav Papa doesn't say the teretz like Abaya, which is that there's a difference between the five lights from the menora and the 2 lights from the menora. So Amalach, Tana Bereisha Tavas Shtei Neiros, V'Hadar Tavas Chamish Neiros. Does it make sense that the first Mishnah is talking about what they do before and after the 2 candles, and then the second Mishnah, V'Hadar Tavas Chamish Neiros, and the second Mishnah is talking about the 5 candles? Doesn't make sense, right? How did they do it? They cleaned the menorah, they cleaned the 5 candles, then they did an avoda, then they did 2. Comes out according to the way we're explaining the mishnayos. The first Mishnah is talking about what they did before the 2 candles. Doesn't make sense. If you're writing in the order of how they did it, the first Mishnah should be referring to the 5 candles. Then the next Mishnah should be referring to the 2 candles. In this way, we're doing the opposite. We're saying that the Mishnah first discusses 2 and then does the 5, which is out of order.
Why is that schwer? The first Mishnah is talking about pious. The second Mishnah is talking about the avoda of the Kohen Gadol.
No, our Mishnah is the first Mishnah not talking about pious.
Which first Mishnah is this? This is not the ratio and the Sefer?
No,
Of the
first,
Brisa
the
there?
Mishnah of the Kohen Gadol of the week before.
That's the point. The first Mishnah is talking about the practice.
The first Mishnah is talking about the Kohen Gadol, but what he does before.
Yeah, it's the practice. It's the preseason,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
missing
yeah.
something? We're calling the Mishnah in Yoma the first Mishnah and the Mishnah in Tamid the second Mishnah?
No, all 3 mishnayos are in Yoma.
But
Right.
Mishazacha B'dishon is in Tamid. The ratio and the Sefer that we're talking about here are both in Tamid.
No, the Reisha.
I think it's in
No.
it's in Yuma. I think it's in Yuma. The second parak, I think, is that mission.
Reisha and Sefer, you look at Rashi, Reisha Sefer of Yuma.
Yeah,
14 and 25 in Yuma.
It goes
The
through by
Kohen
the pious. It's
Gadol's
in
on Daf
Yuma. It's in
Yudalit. The
Yuma.
Kohen Gadol's on Daf Yudalit.
That's
then-
ours.
That's ours. Then there's on Daf Chof Hey.
That's ours also.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's also Lamed Aleph about Aviyu Layas Atamid L'Kohen Gadol B'Yom Kippur.
Lamed Aleph?
Yeah,
Rabanan and Abba Shaul. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you work on it, Gershon, and we'll let's go back to meanwhile.
Yeah.
But, if we're wrong, we'll go back from the.
No,
Gershon, make sure we're not wrong. Otherwise, this stop's gonna take a long time. Yeah. Okay, so
He's busy. He can't answer.
okay. Thank you. So what are we up to? So Abaya Amar Lach, this is also interesting teretz. Abaya is going to say, okay, so it seems to be out of order, right? So that's what Rav Papa's issue is. So it's interesting. It seems like the Gemara really seems to be stuck how to understand all these mishnayos of what the order was, because it's like it's almost like pick your poison. Rav Papa says, it doesn't make sense that the first mishnah is talking about 2 neiros, which is totally out of order from 5 neiros. And Rav Papa says, right, that's what so Rav Papa is saying. So therefore, I'm going to rather say the Reisha and the Sefer, the Rabanan, and the middle is.
So that means
is Abba Shaul.
So that means we really have no idea what happened in the Beis Hamikdash.
If you
No,
want
I'm just saying, right?
Yes, if you want to put it that way, yes, it's such a
Doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't seem like 5 do something else, the other 2.
Yeah. Well, the truth is the Gemara is trying to understand that we do know what's going on in the Beis Hamikdash, but it's just trying.
Yeah,
That's why it's trying to say
they made
and
the
the 2
stop, they
different
did
opinions.
something else, and then they did the other 2. There was a break
Yeah.
between 5 and 7.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, so but we're saying so one teretz is Reisha Sefer Reisha, different mandamim. The other teretz is that the mishnah it's going out of order. The description of what they're doing, 2 candles and then 5, then they do an avoda, then they do the 5 candles is also out of order. So Abaya says, Abaya Amalach, I don't have a problem with that because it's teaching us. It's just teaching us. The proper order is going to say it later on in Yoma. Meaning here, don't pay attention to what the order is. It's going to talk about 2 and then 5. It's not, it's just telling us how they did the menora. They did 5, then they did 2, but they're describing 2 first and then 5, because we're not teaching now, we're not learning now what the proper order was. The proper order is going to be later on. Okay, I mean, these are daichik terutzim. These are very, very much daichik terutzim. Yeah? Because then you have a kasha, which Tais is really asking. So if it's not really teaching you the order, so the whole Gemara shouldn't have started. Right? According to Abaya, Abaya is saying, don't worry about our Mishnah. It's just telling us what went on. It's not telling us the order. Okay, so the whole question never started in the first place. Right?
But that's what Gemara is, back and forth, and then you get the bottom line.
But Tais is saying here.
Right, but this back and forth isn't even giving you the bottom line. This is telling you, don't worry about it.
We're working up
why
to
mention it to begin with now? I mean,
right. So Abaya is saying at the end. Abaya right now is saying, don't pay attention to it. It's just telling you what happens, not giving you the order. Okay, so then just be the target of a minute ago.
There were literally hundreds of discussions about these mishnayos, especially about here, I'm assuming. And yet they chose something that they just kind of go, we really shouldn't be talking about it now. We're only learning certain things from it. You'll learn the proper order later. It doesn't, there's something that's not making sense on this whole thing. Why, why are we specifically talking about this now when we can talk about it later? But why is the Gemara recording out of hundreds of conversations this now at this point?
Right. I don't know. It just must be a shvera Gemara. They must not have had a way to be mataritz this whole thing. What
did they? Apparently, we don't need to be mataritz at all at this point. We're going to be mataritz in the second and third prakim.
I hope so.
What's the point of the whole conversation?
So. Right. I don't know.
I'm still, my kasha still stands. It doesn't matter where the mishnayos are. I think that's what Abaya's teretz is. Our Mishnah that we're discussing is talking about what the Kohen Gadol did the 7 days before Yom Kippur.
Correct.
The second Mishnah, the Mishnah on Chaf Hey,
right, is
talking about pious. That had nothing to do with the Kohen Gadol's job on Yom Kippur.
Okay,
so you're saying
So you're saying Abaya's teretz, but the opposite. Abaya is saying the first Mishnah has nothing to do with the order. Okay, we'll handle it after.
But either, yeah.
Okay, we'll handle it after. Let's go by it. Okay, so now those are the two terutzim: Rav Papa's teretz and Abaya's teretz. Gufa. Now this is where you might need the Dr. Corman. Thank you for posting a normal looking chart on the. So anybody needs a chart. I keep calling it a chart. Whatever the model of the Beis Hamikdash might come a little bit handy here for this Gemara. Gufa, right? So this is the Gemara is going back and what we said before. So what happened? How did he go about doing this? If he comes to the Kohen comes to the northeast of the part of the Beis Hamikdash. Noisen Mizrachis Tzvainis, and then he puts the blood on the northeast part of the Mizbeach. Then he goes around, so that's northeast. Then he goes around to the southwest, right? Maravas Tramis, he goes all the way around to the southwest, Noisen Maravas Tramis, and he puts the blood on the southwest corner of the Mizbeach. The Tani Allah. Right, that's the Tanakama's way of learning it. That's what he did with the blood of the carbon tamid. The Tani Allah Rav Shimon Ish Hamitzpah or Hamitzpah Mishana betamid. He changes the tamid. He says that's not what the order was. Baloi lekeren mizrachis tzvainis. He comes to the northeast corner, which so far is the same. Noisin mizrachis tzvainis. He puts it onto the corner of the northeast corner. Maravas Draimis. Then he goes around to the west, southwest, and then here's where it changes.
Yaakov, excuse me. He puts it on the top of the Karen.
Yes, he puts it on the top. Well, no, we're gonna see on Amud Beis. It's not so pasha where he puts it. But what are you saying?
Oh. No, I just want to know how he reaches it, if he's standing on the floor of the Azara.
Right. No, so he's really putting it on the side. The question is how high up. We're going to see on Amud base. Yeah. So, right then, Noisin Marava, here's where he changes. Rav Shimon Ish Hamitzpah says he puts it on the west side, Noisin Droima, and then he puts it on the south side. Meaning, I should have explained this before. There's two different ways of sprinkling blood on the Mizbeach. You can put it on all four sides of the Mizbeach. You can sprinkle it on the corner, and like this, the blood flows in each direction. So you're putting one sprinkling, and you're getting two sides of the Mizbeach, right? If you put it on the northeast, so then it's going to go to the north, and it's going to go to the east. And then if you go to the southwest, then you're going to get it on the south and on the west, and now you covered all four sides of the Mizbeach. Or you could put it on each side separate. So the Tanakama says you're going to do the two corners, and that will be that. And Rav Shimon Ish Hamitzpah says no, you're going to put it the northeast, you're going to do it that way. On the southwest, you're going to put it on each side separately, right? So my time of the Rav Shimon, why does Rav Shimon Ish Hamitzpah say this? Why does he say you should do it that way? So Amar Rav Yochanan Mashum Chad Debei Rav Yanai Amar Kra, it says Usir Izim Echad Lechatos Lashem Aloilas Al Tabid Yoseh Viniskoy, right? And you do a serizim, a goat, for a chatos. Al oilas atamid. We'll see on Amud base what that means. Al oilas, you do it on top of an oila, the oilas atamid, right? And of course the viniskoy and the wine. So what does it mean? Oilahi, it's considered an oila, right? The oilas tamid. But you should do it like a chatos. How does that work? The way oilers were sprinkled is that they did it on the corner and it went in both directions, and you got four sides, north, south, east, west, with blood, with only having to put it twice. That was the way oilers were. But chatos is each one was separate. Why the Torah had to make oilers and chatos separate, I don't know, but that's the way it was. And two of them, you do like the Ma'aseh Chatas, which is instead of putting it on the corner and letting it go to each direction, you put it on each direction by itself. That's the way Rebbe loves. So he says he learns it from the pasuk. So Gemara asks, so put two like four, kemaisa oila, meaning put it on each corner, which is two sprinklings, and it's going on all four directions. So then do four and on each side like chatas. Meaning, why is he saying that you do one corner like an oila and the other corner like a chatas? Again, an oila you put it on the corner and the blood spreads in each direction. Right? You do that on two corners, that covers all four directions. Chatas, you have to put it on each side independently. So what Rav Shimon Ish Hamitzpah says, because the pasuk says do it like a chatas, so we split it. We do one corner like an oila and one corner like a chatas. The Gemara is asking, why you do that for? Why don't you just do both corners like an oila and all four sides like a chatas? Do it fully like both. So the Gemara answers, there's no such thing as blood that you get a kapara. Again, the main kapara happens once the blood gets sprinkled on the Mizbeach. So it's saying you never saw that they do a kapara and then you go do another thing for a kapara. Right? Once there's one kapara, then you're good to go. So then the Gemara asks, did you ever hear of such a thing that you sprinkle blood? Half of it is like an oila and half of it is like a chatas. Those are two independent karbanos. Ella al karchan hikisha kasu. So it must be we don't have a choice because the Torah compares the two. So chanami bal karchan hikisha kasu. So here too it also makes a hekesh, and therefore we should do both corners like the oila and all four sides like the chatas. So Gemara answers, Hasam Pisuk Matanas Ba'almahi. Right? No, that's just separating the way you put it on. Meaning, really, all you're doing is you're doing it like an oila. But instead of sprinkling it on one corner at one sprinkle, you split up the sprinkles. Instead of putting it on one corner, right? So what you do is you just split it. You put one on one side and one on the other side. So it's really an oila, you're just doing a slightly like a chatas. That's what he's saying. So it's really not considered like you're doing totally a chatas.
Are we saying that you don't
Right,
have to
so
really finish the Misa in order to get the kapara? Is that what we're saying?
You don't need to do the Misa.
You don't have to finish the Misa. You don't have to do it to completion. You have to do it like a little bit. Meaning, that's Gemara's kasha?
No, the Gemara is just trying to figure out why you don't do it fully. Why are you doing half and half?
So,
like, why not fully? Right? Why half and half? What's half and half get you? So, whichever is going to tell you to do half and half, so you might as well just do whole and whole. That's what the Gemara is asking. So he's saying, no, you're really only doing it as an oila. But one of the ways you put it on, you just make a little pause in the way you put the blood. Meaning the way you put an oila blood, you put it on the corner. Right here, let's use this corner. I was looking for a corner, but right. So you have a corner. This is the corner, right? So the way you do an oila is you just sprinkle the blood right here, and it goes this way, and it goes that way, right? This way, that way, right? And what he's saying, so really we're doing like an oila too, but you're gonna put it this way first, and then go this way with your hand, doing both ways. So it's still similar to an oila, but it's slightly different, which that's enough to be to the pasuk that refers to chatas in the pasuk of oila. That's what it's.
Is this a new way of doing matan damim? There's shvichas rika, now there's nesina?
Maybe. I think it's still done with some sort of zrika. No, but I don't know.
I know that's physically possible.
Maybe it's like a smearing.
But that's not zrika or shvicha.
Right.
No, I'm saying so. Maybe I don't know.
That's what I was asking.
I wish I knew.
It's a third thing, so maybe that's what you're referring to.
Right. Yeah.
It was a sprinkling that happened to be right in the corner, so I went to both sides.
Well, no, here he has to do it a little bit more like a chatas. That would be the way to do it for an oil. You have to do it a little bit more. You have to do it a little bit more as a second sprinkling, it seems.
So you do it on each side without going in the corner. You do it on each side above the line.
Yeah, okay, so now we get to the lines right now. So the Gemara says, V'neisiv achas shtayim lamata. Why don't you do the oila one, which is one sprinkling, which goes in two directions. Kemaisa oila, that's the way an oila works. And then shtayim shein shtayim lamala. And then do the other two on top. Kemaisa chatas, like the maisa chatas. Right? Meaning you have this something called a chut hasikra on the Mizbeach, which is a red line. I don't know if that's where "don't cross the red line" comes from, but there's a red line that's I don't remember how high up the Mizbeach. It's about halfway up the Mizbeach. So some of the bloods from different karbonos have to be put on above that line. Some have to be below that line. So the Gemara is saying here, why don't you do the oila below the line and the chatas above the line? Right?
It would, time-wise, it would be two separate avodas.
L'chayra. Yeah, but it would look. So then you have oila and chatas. It would be more. Yeah. So Gemara.
It really would be treating it as an oila and a chatas. How would that?
Right. So it's a really
kasha. What's the?
I don't know the Havamina, because the Gemara's Teretz says, we don't see, there's no such thing as putting blood from a carbon, half of it above the red line, half below, meaning there are carbonos that have the blood need to go above the red line, and there are carbonos that it has to go below, but not one carbon both. So they want to ask, and that's, and not Vatanan, he's achas lamala b'sheva lamata, right? If anybody knows, everybody remembers from the Achas on Yom Kippur. This is the achas shtayim, right? So he sprinkles one on top and 7 on the bottom.
That's
so
your
you
Daf
see
song.
What?
That's your Daf song.
We haven't had a Daf song in a long time. It would be a Daf song, right? So, but this is not talking about on the Mizbeach though, right? It's not talking about the Mizbeach, but you still see that there's such a thing, right? As going on top and on the bottom. So Gemara answers kimatzlif. It's like a matzlif. My kimatzlif. What's a matzlif? Machvi Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yehuda showed him min gidra, kimigdra, like somebody who gives the makas in Bezdin. Right, so the way they gave makas in Bezdin, they started in the top part of the back, and then they slowly made their way down. You're not going to call that a different areas. That's considered the same area. It's just it's just one is below the other. So here too, this is not called when he sprinkled the blood on the Mizbeach. It's not considered above and below. It's just as you move down. You don't want all the blood to fall in the same spot. So you're slowly moving down. But that's called sprinkling the blood in one spot. So then one says Veloy. But he does sprinkle on the tahar of the Mizbeach. The tahar of the Mizbeach is we'll see in a second. My love doesn't mean apalga the Mizbeach. Doesn't mean that he did it halfway up the Mizbeach. Keda amri and she tahar tiara. It means something pure is pure. Who palga the yom, the pure part of the day when the sun is in the middle of the sky. That's like the pure, clear part of the day, right? So you see that he sprinkles the blood towards the Mizbeach, partially above and partially below. So now we're on Tamid Beis loy, like guf of the Mizbeach. It's going on the guf of the Mizbeach, on the top of the Mizbeach, right? Right? It's like the part of the Shemayim in with Toyer, right? So
Why
yeah.
Why can't the Gemara answer simply that when the Torah says to put gold on it, it says Zav Toyer? That would be the gold, the tiara.
Fair enough. I hear. I don't know. So anyway, so we're saying that here, like Rabanan, this is what you were asking. Here it goes on the top. Here we're talking about. He's saying he does sprinkle the blood on the top, so it's not below and it's not above. Okay, so now the Gemara now is going to ask on Rav Shimon on why he says what he says. So ma'ishna diyav oila bereisha. So why you put the oila first? For hadar yav the chatos, right? We said you put on the corner like an oila in the corner, and the blood spreads in each direction. And then the chatos is the second one. You put it on each side. Why is the oila coming before the chatos? Again, ma'ishna diyav oila bereisha v'hadar yav the chatos, and then you put the chatos nesa bereisha the chatos v'hadar nesa the oila. First put the chatos, and then put the oila. Right, because that would be the proper order. When you have a chatas and oila, the chatas goes first. So when it says kivin da oila, he knows since this carbon is an oila, he kadma bereisha, that goes first. Okay, umayshna diyav. Now here's where it would help to you have the map of the Beis Hamikdash. Umayshna diyav mizrachis tzfainis umaravis draimis. Why are you putting it? This kasha is going according to both shitas, right? Why are you going to the northeast and then to the southwest? Nasiv Draimis Mizrachis, put it on the southeast. And then go to the northwest. Right? So, meaning what's a pshat in this? So, meaning if you look in the direction from where he was coming, so then he's coming from the Durham. The Kohen is coming from let me try to pull this. Let's see. He's coming. Which one is does it say in this thing which one is Durham?
Durham is the Kevish.
Right. So Durham is towards the Kevish, right? So he's coming from the south. So wouldn't it make sense that he should go straight to that corner? Right, again, why is he going all the way around to the northeast and then around to the southwest? Let him put it on the southeast first and then go put it on the northwest. So our answer is no, Amri, Oila Tu'una Yisoid. No, the reason is because the Oila needs to be put on the base. See, if you look closely at the picture of the Mizbeach, if anybody has it. So two corners of it had what do you call it? Had something sticking out, had a ledge, I guess. right? Sticking out on two parts of it. So the oila needs to go on that yisoid. That yisoid was only on the northwest. Went on the north and the west side.
The side was only on 2 corners or 3 corners? I thought this was the only corner that doesn't have the side.
They 3 corners had the yisoid, but the yisoid only went on the north. It only covered an L. It's only an L, but it gave you 3 corners. Right? The only corner that was missing was the southwest corner. Right? So because of it's an oila, so you had to go. He says so again. Amri oila tu no yisoid. V'keren droimes mizrachas loy have a yisoid, and the southeast corner didn't have a yisoid. So since the southeast corner didn't have a yisoid, you had to walk all the way around. Okay, so then when it says mishna the aberration mizrachas tzvainis. So then why is he going to the northeast and then go around to the southwest? Let him go to the southwest first, and then go to the Mizrachas Tzvainis. So my answer is no. Anytime you have to make a turn, you always go to the right, right? And not go, you don't make a left. So the Mizrach Beresha Bahu Paga. So then you're going, Derech Yamin the Mizrach, you go to the right towards the Mizrach. So Beresha Bahu Paga, the first corner you're gonna get is the northeast corner. Right? Now the basic way to understand this.
Isn't that rule only like you go to the right when you don't know or you don't have a reason to go to the left? But here you have a reason to go to the left.
No, you don't. What's the reason? You just got to put it
You're
somewhere
going all the way around.
So you got to put it around. So you're going to go right
He's
first.
walking all the way around.
Right.
If you walk to the left, it would be faster and shorter. No.
I don't know if that's the side.
No, technically it would be longer to go to the left. Because then you would have to go all the way around again.
Oh, so let's understand this. Basically, the basic way to understand this is hakafas by Simchas Torah and really by Hashanas, right? So we're supposed to go to the right. So how come every shul goes to the left, right?
Are you also by Abaya Shaul? You're supposed to turn to the right as well.
Yes, that's true. But but Hashanas, right? Everybody's facing the front of the shul. Which way does the chazan go? To the left. Yes,
no, he first turns around, then he goes to the right.
So 1 second. That's the answer. Because you turn around to face the Torah that's in the middle, then if you're facing the Torah, then you're going to the right, which is counterclockwise if you're looking at it as a clock. Right? Meaning our Beis Medrash is supposed to act the same way as the Beis Hamikdash, right? So if you're facing the shul, the chazan always goes to your left. If you're facing the Aron Kodesh by Hashanas, the chazan's always going to the left, right? So the pshat is because we're going to the chazan's right, because when the chazan turns around with the lulav and esrog to face the Sefer Torah, then his right is to everybody else in the shul's left.
That's good for him, but everyone else is still going the wrong way.
No, they're not, because they're also supposed to be they're also going to their right. If you're anybody facing the Torah in the middle is going to the right.
Unless you sit in front of the bima, in which case you have to turn around also.
Right, okay. Exactly. If you're sitting in front of the bima, you're supposed to turn around.
Because the Torah is at the bima officially. So you have to turn around to face the Torah.
Yeah, that's what it is. So the same thing, the Kohen Gadol is facing...
it's a little bit different with the Mizbeach. With the Mizbeach, there's a secondary kasha. It's not a circle, it's a square. So when you make one turn to the right, every other turn is going to be to the left. As opposed to if you would make one turn to the left, every turn would be to the right.
Each turn is to the right.
Not Matthias, but...
If you...
I think Rashi says that, no?
Gershon, if you're walking north and then you go east, you're making a right turn. Then you go back north, you're making a left turn.
Look at Rashi. Look at Rashi. Explain it.
You're saying, meaning if you go to each corner and you're facing the corner, you got to keep going right.
That's correct.
right? That's
That's the answer. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
By
Okay.
Hakafis, it's one
all.
turn. By the Mizbeach, each one is its own turn.
That's right.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
right.
Very good. So that's what it is. So then the Gemara asks another question. We might the ba'oila who the kamer rachmana abba b'ma'aseh, right? Who says, right, that you do by the oila, that you do a ma'aseh chatas, right? Dilma b'chatas who the kamer rachmana abba b'ma'aseh oila. If this is not a gevaldik kasha or a typical gevaldik gemara kasha, it says you got to do an oila. It says the oila is like a chatas, right? So it says, who says the oila should be the carbon, and then you're doing the chatas similar to the oila? Maybe it should be a chatas, and the oila has to be done like chatas, right? Why do you say?
The pasuk actually calls it a chatas, not an oila. Series of echad lechatas.
Right, but then
We're
it says
learning that
al
lemaisa because
oila.
but every carbon on Yom Kippur is an oila. So Mamela must be an oila, and the Torah is calling it a chatas to give it that din. But lemaisa, the Torah calls it a chatas. Maybe it's not an oila.
Yeah, so let's see what's a teretz. Don't think that tichsiv al oilas hatomid yeyosev niskoy. Right, on the oila of the tomid, you should make it, and then the nisachim. Maika omer rachmana. What is the Torah saying? Midi dechatos shadi a oila. Take the whatever is the chatos, meaning do whatever is normally a chatos, and put it onto an oila. It's meaning from the word al, right? You're putting the chatos on the oila, not the oila onto the chatos. So that's why we bring the carbon tamid as an oila, but you do a little part of it as a carbon chatos. Okay, so that's we'll stop here because the next Gemara goes way into the next daf. So if the oilam has a chance to look over the charts or whatever, there was a video available on all daf at the beginning of Yoma that did like a flyover of the Beis Hamikdash, which was very good. I couldn't find it. I don't know if anybody has a link to that. It would be very kedai to watch it. I only watched a minute of it. What do you say?
Archibald gave it the PDF of what you sent today. They gave you that free PDF.
Is that so?
ArtScroll let you download that PDF, yeah.
Taka? I know, but this was like mamish like a flyover. It was very good, but I watched a minute of it. I looked on all daf to find it. I couldn't find it. So if anybody could find it, it'd be appreciated.
App or it's online?
On the app. Yeah. All right, fine. Gute Nacht. Everybody sei gesund.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, if anybody, I don't know, Yeti Gross is engaged.
Is that so?
So
where is he located?
He lives in Florida, but the girl's from Muncie.
I was about to say that Uri is giving him a run for his money on the cigars. We didn't see him tonight.
He's coming. Yeah. He's gonna be by my house tomorrow night. We'll have some cigars and bourbon for a guys l'chaim.
Oh, is that gonna be during the daf?
What? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Maybe we'll figure something out.
Here.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Yaakov,
yeah.
You just used the term again, like we did by paraduma. Kechatas. Use the same term as we did by paraduma. What's the purpose of using this term? Why are we equating everything to a chatas, even though they're not chatas and they're two different functions, right? The function by a paraduma is not a carbon at all, and by this theoretically it's a carbon. But why wouldn't they use it? Why wouldn't they just use the terminology of whatever name that carbon is? Why do they have to use the word kechatas?
I don't know.
The Torah says it. What do you mean they?
Was it a pasuk?
He's asking on the Torah. He's asking.
I didn't know it was a pasuk. I was making sure my son didn't fall off the couch.
Yeah. The pasuk says here by us it's Sirism ad lechatas, and by paraduma it says chatas he.
Yeah.
Torah calls it a chatas. It has something to do with kapara.
But the paraduma is not a chatas at all. It's not any of that. It's not a carbon. It's not a chatas. It's not an oila. It's none of that. it's its own din.
It
Yeah, in
it kind of is because it's part of the kapara. If you look at the chinuch on tuma,
it's its own kapara. It's its own thing. It's not.
Yeah, but that's what a chatas is. A chatas is a personal kapara. An oila is a kapara for a tzibur. A chatas is a personal kapara.
I gotta go run a daven. So, but
you
you
later.
fight
Alright,
it. You let me know when
Yashikayach.
you come out. Yeah, good to know.
Why didn't they say ke'oila, which is a by
Where?
by paraduma?
Because paraduma is a personal thing. It's on each person.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, yes, it is technically, but if the paraduma comes, Klal Yisrael is being metana.
No. It's not. Klal Yisrael doesn't get a kapara, a tara. It's through the tara. The whole tara process.
If you don't do it, are you over an isser?
Of what? The paraduma?
Yeah.
No, you just can't have kachim.
I can't.
Actually, a kohen might be over an isser.
I can't have kachim anyway. So what would be the difference? And why would I? Why?
You mean, of course, you can eat kachim with Bisman bias. Shlomim.
Oh, okay.
Also, truma, tara, the whole, it's only geared to that.
So
if you have tevel, for example, and you take truma when you're tummy, you make it tummy.
Then I would be over an isser then.
Well, not by not doing that. The next step would be an isser, eating something betuma or taking truma betuma.
No, but if I have to go give a carbon, right? And you have a chiyuv to bring a carbon, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a loisa acher on a carbon. There's only a loisa acher on Yom Tov, like a carbon re'iyah or something like that. I'm not sure, but that would be the next step. Not becoming tamei is not an isra in and of itself. It's whatever it causes that would be this.
Not becoming tahar, man.
Not be sorry. I said tamei. Yeah, not remaining tamei is not in and of itself an isra unless you're a kohen.
I would think that not remaining tamei or remaining tamei would be an isser if you have the ability to become tahar.
So, but there's no isser for a regular yid to be tamei. Only a kohen has an isser to be tamei.
I find
and here the chiddush of this by Yom Kippur, the reason.
Parents wants to shut down. I'll speak to you later.
All right, talk to you. Good night.